video, we're going to be going over how to factor the difference of squares. Now we can tell that our problems are difference of squares in two ways. We're using two things. First, we're going to look at our two terms, and if they're both perfect squares. So x squared is a perfect squared because x times x is x squared, and 4 is a perfect square because 2 times 2 is 4. Now it only works, though, to factor this way when our symbol between them is a minus sign. If that was a plus sign, we couldn't do this. So essentially what we're looking for are two numbers that will multiply to 4, but if you notice, there's no b value. So this is really an x squared plus 0x minus 4. So I'm looking for two numbers that will multiply to negative 4 but add to 0, which is 2 and 2. Because our symbol here is a minus sign, we know that those should be different symbols, meaning one will be positive, which is usually our bigger one, but because they're both the same, it doesn't matter. So I can write this as x plus 2 and x minus 2, and those are going to be my factors. But another way to do this, it's a little bit easier and a little more efficient as far as time goes, is, let me go ahead and just write this down, x squared minus 4, is that because they're both perfect squares, and there's a subtraction symbol between the two of them, I can factor this simply by taking the square root of each of the numbers. So the square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 4 is 2, and then writing down my factors, and that will give me the x and the 2, and the x and the 2, and then I'm able to write down just a plus and a minus, and I'm finished. So notice how both answers are the same, but using our square roots or our difference of squares is a little bit more time efficient. It saves us some time. So I want you guys to try letter B on your own using the difference of squares. So using the square root method, I'd like you guys to try letter B on your own. So go ahead and push pause, and when you're done, push play, and let's see if you were right. So we're going to do letter B, which is x squared minus 25, using our square roots, so we can factor the difference of squares quickly. So we'll first look and go, yep, that's a perfect square, and 25 is a perfect square, and they have a minus between them. So we're able to take the square root of each one. So that's going to be an x and a 5. And so I'll get to write down the x and the 5 and the x and the 5, once with a plus and once with a minus, and I'm finished. And those are the factors of our x squared minus 25. Let's take a look at letter C. Here we have 9x squared minus 49. So even though there's a 9 in the front, we can still use the same method. Because if we look, 9x squared is a perfect square, and 49 is a perfect square, and there's a minus sign between the two of them. So all we need to do, use the same method, we'll square root both pieces. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of x squared is x. The square root of 49 is 7. Then we're able to write down our symbols, and we're going to have a 3x and a 7 in each of our factors, and one will be plus and one will be minus. And we're finished. And so that's how you can factor the difference of squares using a little bit faster method.